All right, we are live. Hello, 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 everyone. How's everybody doing this evening? Hope all is well. You know me, I'm going to make sure that my friends on Facebook are watching and they have access. And yes, they do. Good, good, good. So, who am I and why am I here? My name is Lisa Marie Eard. I am the collegiate success coach for Campus Bound GPS, where we help students and parents navigate the college process. And this is October Tips. October Tips is a series where I invite experts, or I might put a little tidbit here and there myself about the college application process. And why do I do this? Because I have been through the college application process twice over with my children. I come to you as a parent who's gone through the process. I come to you as a person who was stressed, who was overwhelmed, who asked a lot of questions. Some questions got answered and some didn't. And I don't want you to be one of those folks who don't get an answer for your question. So what do? I decide to have this series, this program. I call it for the month of October, my community service for this month. I provide tips to you parents, to you students, to you student athletes about the college application process, because October is also the month when you're in the thick of things. You're going through it. You are writing your essays, filling out your applications, deciding on what school you want to go to, trying to figure out what major you're interested in, all of this stuff. You know, you're driving your parents crazy. Parents, you are driving your kids crazy. And we're the balance. We've been through it, we understand, and because we've been through it, we're helping you navigate through the waters. So I'm excited because, like I said, October Tips is for the month of October. We have completed 26 days. Oh, no. Completed 25 days straight as we embark on day 26. And I am so excited to invite my friend, my dear friend, Ann Shields. She is with Lighthouse Career Coach. She is the CEO and a career coach with Lighthouse Career Coach. And her tip today is alumni interviews. Yes or no? Hello, Ann. How are you today?
I'm great, Lisa Marie. Thanks so much for having me tonight. I'm proud to be part of the October Tip series. It's my
I
first time.
It is. You are a first timer, and I appreciate you being here. We've been doing this for about 6 years. I met Ann last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been about a year now.
It's been.
And I asked, and you said yes, and I'm so excited. You come to us as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you do?
What do I
And
do?
what do you do?
Well, before this version of me, I worked on college campuses for about 35 years. Most of that time, I worked with students directly. I worked in residence life. I did a little bit of campus ministry work, student activities, intramurals. I was sort of an all-around generalist. But most of the time, I spent working in a career center as a counselor and then as the director of several different career centers at some nationally ranked colleges and universities. I had a great career. Along with that time, though, because I was at smaller schools, I was able to interact with the admissions office a fair amount, as well as the alumni office. And as an active alumna of my own college, I'm a volunteer. And I volunteer to talk with high school students who have applied to my college. And I do it as an admissions volunteer, an alumni admissions volunteer. So I have some experience with this from the campus side. My son, when he was applying to schools, also spent some time talking with alumni from the schools that he went to, and just as a person who's lived through this for many, many years with many, many young adults. And I picked this topic because I think there's a fair amount of misinformation out about alumni interviews. Do your students ever ask about this? Is this something that's on their radar at all?
I have honestly, no, we have not talked about it. Well, I will say this though. It may not be in the form of alumni interviews, but I have put my students in touch with if a person said, "Hey, I'm interested in," it's me dialing up my contacts. And believe it or not, and I guess this kind of works. This probably is an introverted way of doing it. The person that I connect, and it's happened every time, especially with my program that I had recently. One of it feels like an interview because they're asking the student questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it was a de facto way of doing alumni interviews, but it was just, hey, we want to get to know you.
And that's what the alumni interviews are. They are different for different schools. And so to talk about alumni interviews, I'm going to need to have some variation on the theme. There are some schools, some of the larger schools, some of the more renowned private schools in particular, will put a fair amount of credibility to what the alumni say about the prospective students that they talk to. These alumni have volunteered. At some schools, they may go through 20 hours of training to be a volunteer. So that means they are pretty darn dedicated to helping their school find the best students and the best fit. It's not always going to be the highest GPA, but they're looking for the people who have the right energy, who exhibit the sorts of values that the school is built on. Other schools have alumni volunteers who are invited to talk with students, who volunteer to talk with students, but they don't report back to the school. So at some places they don't report back, and other places they're pretty. Their comments are considered valuable. So what happens in one of these? What is it?
Yeah, what is it?
Well, if the school offers it, you will see something mentioned probably on the admissions pages. It may be in some of the newsletters or Instagrams or notes that you get from the school, inviting you, suggesting that you take advantage of speaking with an alum. The alums can be from people who have been out of school for a long time like me, but I'm an active volunteer, and my son recently graduated from the same college. So I have both the parent perspective, a student perspective, and a volunteer's perspective. So I come at it slightly differently than my son, who's also a volunteer who graduated 3 years ago. He can talk about the campus life aspect and what school was like for him, because the school has changed in the years since I graduated. So, curiously, today I logged in to the admissions website, the portal for volunteers, and I have 2 local students who have applied to my college and have asked to talk with an alum. So, as a volunteer, I will reach out to them tomorrow and find a time that is convenient for them, and we'll spend a half an hour to an hour just chatting. And I'll answer the questions I can. I'll try to get a feel for who they are and how excited they are about my institution. And then I will convey that on to the admissions office.
So there's one thing that you mentioned that I took note of. And you said they can look on the school's website to find out, but they can also hear about this via Instagram.
Yep.
So basically that was a trigger to me that students, hey, you may consider, going on social media and liking or, what is it? Becoming a friend.
Or following.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, you can tell my social media language is not the best right now, but follow these schools on social media. So it sounds like it's very important to follow these schools on social media.
It is. For the past several years, I've read 500 admissions folders for the University of Rochester as a part time admissions employee. And so I sit in on some of the admissions meetings and some of the committee selection meetings where we hear what the school is looking for students that year, the qualities that they're looking for to round out a class, and what we want to look for strengths and values in the student applications. And something that's important is that the students need to show, they need to express an interest in being there. And it's not enough to simply apply.
Hmm.
Everybody's applying, so that doesn't make you stand out at all.
Wow. So I'm taking notes here. As you can see, I keep turning into my notebook and just writing.
So
You,
ways of demonstrating interest. If the school, if the college you're interested in is at a local college fair or is on a virtual college fair, make sure you show up at their event and
mhm.
let them know that you're there and that you're interested. In some communities, an admissions officer might come and visit your school and do an information session and do preliminary interviews. Show up. It's important. And if you can't show up because you have a conflict, a test, then go online, find the name of the admissions counselor who works in your region, and send a note saying, "I'm really sorry I missed you.
Wow.
I would have loved to have spent some time with you, but my team left campus early to travel, or I had a test and I couldn't miss.
I
I
like
wish
that.
I'd been there."
I like that because so you're saying schools are looking for you to demonstrate that you're interested in them. They're
That's it.
looking to understand your strengths, your values, so that it can align with their university. And in expressing interest, you can do it multiple ways at a
Mhm.
college fair, when they come to the school. And even better, I love the idea that if you knew they were coming for a visit and you missed for whatever reason, you reach out to them and say, hey, because it sounds like, the more you communicate with this college or university, the more the admissions rep gets to kind of know your name
Mhm.
and sees that you're
Exactly.
interested.
Now, there is a line, and it's not even a very fine line. There's a line between expressing your interest and being a pain in the neck. Did you
Gotcha.
get this? Did you get this? Did you get this? Did you get this? Just slow down. If your teacher said they submitted the letter, they did. And if they didn't submit the letter, they will. And even though the deadline is one day for you, I might not read your folder for 3 months later as all of the pieces come together. And as a reader, they're all together and arrive to me for me to read. So you have to meet the deadline. But the did you get it? Did you get it? That's just, it takes precious time from the admission staff who are trying to process the tens and hundreds of thousands of documents that are coming in from hopeful applicants for the entering class. So expressing interest, letting the school know what makes them special for you, that matters.
Mhm.
Um, and that's where the alumni interviews come in. Even if they don't count, well, it's not going to count towards my application. Okay, at my school, it doesn't count to the application. But the fact that they've asked to talk with somebody matters. The fact that they respond when I reach out and say, yes, I would like to meet, matters. When they actually show up and we have a conversation, it matters. So there's 3 contacts that the admissions office will know about. And then if somebody seems to really want to go to my school and says, this is in my top 3 schools. I don't ask them what their other schools are. That's not my business, but I want to be at the school. This is one of my top 3 at this point. Then I will write to the admissions point person and say, I know I'm not supposed to report, but This is what I heard. I don't do a long, detailed review because for my school, it they are evaluating other things.
Mhm.
But what they want to see is demonstrated interest. So does it count?
So I
Yeah, it does because it shows that you really want to be there, and people want to be liked. You know,
okay.
if I'm applying to, if I have a student who's applying to 10 schools, and I can assume that a lot of them are, where do I fit in that 10? Where does my school fit? And I'm only going to make so many offers because I only have so many beds. I only have so many desks. So I'm going to make the offers to people that I think are more likely to accept them.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I am a student who is average. So I'm applying not knowing that I will automatically get in.
Mhm.
So you have your students who, yeah, this is a sure bet. I know I'm gonna get in because of my grades, my SAT score. But I'm a student who's kind of teetering. And I touched alumni interview, reached out to admissions, not to badger, but to, say, hey, I'm interested. Can you send me some information on such and such?
Mhm.
And now it's coming down to reading my application. Because I touched, is it possible if I am, under that fine line of consideration, could that possibly be a help?
It can be. When I'm looking at an application folder and I'm reading it all online,
Mhm.
I can click to a screen that will tell me how many touches that student has had. Did they stop to talk with somebody at a college fair? Did they show up for an information session? Did they talk with somebody who visited their school? Have they visited campus? Did they attend any of the virtual programs, the panels, the um, the faculty talks, the this is what it's like to be an athlete? Every one of those programs that the school offers through the admissions office, they keep track of who's attended. And if you invest yourself in attending things, that demonstrates that you are putting energy and time into that school. And because time is limited, we put our time and energy in the places that we are most interested in. That makes sense. So if they're like, oh, there's just so many of these and I just can't go to all of them, so I'm not going to bother. Well, they won't know that I'm not there. Oh, yeah, they will. Well, actually, they will know that you are there. And if I see that somebody has had, 7 or 8 touches over the course of 6 to 9 months, that does color the way I look at an application. It's like, wow, this person's really interested.
Gotcha.
Not everybody can visit a campus. They're too far away. They don't have the resources to be able to get to a campus. Not everybody can make a campus interview, but you can attend things. And if you have the opportunity to talk with an alum over Zoom or phone, there's really not a good obstacle to get in that way that will say, well, that's a good excuse why. I'm calling and saying, what's a good time for you? I'm
So,
too busy. Yeah, okay, then you're too busy. I
so,
understand.
so when you say your tip, it's actually a trick question. Alumni
It's not
interview.
yes or no, it's yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
it's a yes, 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 yes.
It
Take
is.
advantage of every opportunity, especially if it's a school that you're interested in. Touches matter.
It does.
Interest matters. So it's just like you're, I hate to put it like this, but like you're dating, you
No,
know.
it is. You are going to be more interested in someone who's more interested in you.
Mhm.
It's like, well, okay, you want to go? Seriously? No, I'm not interested. But someone who's, shows interest becomes more interesting.
Nice. And that's a good way to look at it. And I also see your, so you mentioned something before, demonstrating your strengths and your values, when
Mhm.
you, so that demonstrate, it's more than that, demonstrating your strength and your values and expressing an interest in being at that college or
Mhm.
university. So this sounds like the your essay. When you're writing your essay, it's
But
very
it's targeted. It's more targeted than how people sometimes write their essays. They
important.
write an essay for a Common App, and it's an essay. This is a chance to say, I'm particularly interested in your institution because of the reputation of the faculty members there, or because I know that your school has a great track record for people moving into journalism, or I've heard nothing but good things about your academic advising, and I'm undeclared, and I'm going to need the academic advising, and I understand that you've got a strong program.
So it sounds like you also have to do your research.
You do. You need to do your homework.
Hmm.
One of the questions I ask of candidates that I talk to is, what do you know about our school? What do you know about this college? Blah, 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 blah. It's a small liberal arts college. Uh huh. And how is it different from the others? Frankly, Lisa Marie, liberal arts colleges are more alike than they're different. That's the truth. They're more alike than they're different. But the school that I went to has a distinctive history. It has always been co ed, and it's always been integrated. And for a small private New England school, that's unusual. And for me, I think that's a selling point, that the people who founded this school were different in their time. And that's what the school was founded on. And that's important to me as an alum. It affected my choice to go there, my son's choice to go there. And it's one piece of information that shows me you actually know something about this school.
Do your
I
research.
like the small classes. I like this, the limited number of students to the teacher. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Every school.
So when you to say yes to an alumni interview, you say yes to doing research. You say yes to finding that special something about the institution that sets it apart from everything else. Because
Hmm.
every school was designed for something. It
Hmm.
came into being because of XYZ.
And
And
it may not be the history for a particular school. A lot of state schools were founded as originally as teachers' colleges. And so that's not unusual, but there may be a program in their curriculum that's particularly attractive, that's distinctive, that when you looked at journalism programs or chemical engineering programs or whatever your intended major might be, you saw that this one was different from all of the others.
mhm.
That's what an admissions team wants to know. Have Do you know how we're different? And is that why you want to be here?
Okay.
Because otherwise you're just one of the 10,000 applicants that applied. You
Okay.
haven't made yourself stand out. But that does take some homework. You're right.
So I have another question.
Go.
So, how should a student show up?
Mm. This is going to sound really basic, but just like you proof your application to make sure that you don't send your Delaware application to Ohio State, you really want to make sure that you've got the right name on the right application. You want to make sure that when you show up for an alumni interview, you actually know what school you're talking to. That sounds so basic, but I know it's confusing. And by November, December, January, people are exhausted from the process, and it's easy to have things be jumbled. But this volunteer is taking an hour out of their time because they care about the school and they care about bringing the best students to the institution. So, out of respect for the volunteer, do your homework. If you want this to help you, do your homework. A lot of your homework is going to be just, who are you? Who are you bringing? I never see an application. I never see any of the essays. I never see any of the scores. So I don't know anything about the students other than where they live and an email address. So I'm relying on them to fill me in. I want to know what excites you about your current school. What courses just do you love? What kind of teacher do you love? What what is it about going to college that matters for you? I
Okay, so
want
I'm
to
gonna,
know you,
so
and I want you to know actually where you're applying. That's useful, pretty much.
okay, so I'm gonna ask this question. I'm gonna ask the same question a different way.
Okay.
How should a student dress?
Oh, that might depend on school, on
Mm,
the school. Um, I might show up in my college sweatshirt if it's a Zoom call.
hmm
Um, show your colors kind of thing. Um, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, if they've just come in from soccer practice and are all sweaty and disgusting, yeah, clean up. But I'm not looking for someone to come in dressed up or in a suit. But that's not the culture of my college either. It's a more informal kind of place. For a school that tends towards more formal, I might even ask the admissions office, how should I dress for this?
hmm
Is a suit thing? Often it's not going to be suit, but it's sort of like, I guess you're going to a significant other's house for dinner and you want to impress the parents.
I like that.
You want to clean up. You want to clean up nice.
Clean up nice. I like that. I like that idea. And it is an interview. It is a getting to know you. And I had this is a long time ago, but I had a student, a mom, it was a consultation. I met the mom and it was on Zoom. And I said, "Hey, can I speak to your son?" And he was just going to come on bareback. And she yelled at him, "No, no, put his shirt on." And, you really have to be considerate. You don't know who you're talking to, and you don't know the influence that this person may have on your admissions process.
And even, I mean, there's certain common respect. It's common, I'm not going to, no matter how informal it is, I'm not going to come with a stain on my shirt. I might drink coffee and stain my shirt while we're talking, but I'm not going to go, oh yeah, there's a stain, so what? I want to put my best foot forward, and that's just that's adulting. Is putting your best foot forward because first impressions really do count.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's I mentioned adulting. I'll keep going with it. Talking with adults, whether they're a grad who's only 3 years ahead of you, or someone who is basically ancient like me, is a skill that will serve your students forever. If one of the students I talk to comes back to me and says, I got in, now what do I do? Or I got in and I don't know what to do about finding an internship this summer because I'm living in a kind of rural area and you live nearby. Can you help me? Heck yeah.
So it sounds like you have your alumni interview, and after the application process, this is a person that you may be able to keep in touch with after. And
I'm open to it because if someone comes back and says, well, first, because it's the right thing to do and your grandmother would be pleased, you send a thank you email. Thanks for taking time. I I appreciate you making time for me because they are making time for you. But they're making time for you because they want you to be successful. We don't even know you and we want you to be successful. Come on. But if someone comes back and says, I got in, now what? Then I may ask what other kinds of questions I have and think about who I know on campus that I could say, rather than go to the admissions office, let me introduce you to the woman who runs the community service program. If you are really into community service, let me introduce you.
And that helps navigating the
I'm an
more.
active volunteer, and that is going to get a response.
Nice. So the alumni interview can stretch into networking.
It is networking. It's the exchange of information. And really, networking gets a very bad rap. Ooh, I'm taking things from people. It's, ew. The word I think of is smarmy. It's not a word that gets used very often. It's sort of that slick used car salesman. If I got a deal for you, smarmy. Um, Networking is about building relationships.
Hmm.
It's not about getting something from someone. It's about joining a circle of adults that share information all the time. It might be where's the best place to live off campus if you're a sophomore and you want to move off campus from the residence hall to an apartment. Where's a good place to live? That's networking.
I like it.
I want to major in marketing, but I'm not sure which of these professors should take for my first class. You ask of your RA. That's networking. You're asking for help, you're asking for information, and you're starting to form a trusting relationship. And the more times that you are able to get information, the more you will be able to help the people who are coming up from behind you. So I haven't been able to do a whole lot for my mentors. They've brought me a long way, but I can talk to someone they sent to me,
Hmm.
and that's how I'm helping them. They're asking me to help pay them back by helping someone that they sent.
Paying it forward.
Mhm.
Nice.
And I
So,
still am in touch with several people who worked at the college when I was there, and that was over 40 years ago.
wow.
There aren't many left that haven't retired, but there are a few, and I am still in close touch with them.
You know what I appreciate about this conversation? We all, I'm gonna be say it really general because there might be others who feel differently, but for the most part, we love our school that we went to, and when we hear of someone who is interested, and I know I've been really, I've done it. You pull out all the stops and you're like, okay, you're interested. You ask them pertinent questions. And I think some questions, and Anne, you can help me out with this. Some questions that a student should be able to answer right off the bat is, why are you interested in this school? What are you interested in studying? And what else? What else do you think?
Well, what are you interested in studying? It's okay to say, I don't know yet.
Okay.
Or you can say, I'm, I think I'm actually undeclared because I'm interested in a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some majors, the names of majors, I don't even know what they are yet. I mean, I know math, history, English, science, chemistry. I mean, I know those, but what's sociology? What's anthropology? You know, what's linguistics? And sometimes it you don't have to know what you want, but help me understand that you're excited about learning and you're excited about trying things. If you don't know what you want to do, show me your excitement.
So here's an interesting thing here. So your school is a liberal arts school,
And it's small.
and it's
Mhm,
small. And then there are schools that are large, and
mhm.
you go in, and then there are the mid-sized schools where sometimes you need to kind of have an idea of what you're studying so you can get on that path really quick. So I guess what I'm saying here is, before you um, do this alumni interview, research on yourself as well,
Mhm.
so that you can be prepared to answer whatever questions arise.
Well, theoretically,
Hmm.
that self research is happening as students are starting to think about which schools might be a good fit, which ones have the great athletic programs because I really want to be at a school that has a huge spirit component. And that is really important to some students. For other students, it's I like their track record of people getting into PhD programs. Great, bring that to the table. But
Mhm.
as you're picking your schools, I hope you're picking them with some reasons in the back of your mind other than I hear it's a good school, so I should apply.
Mhm. What are
Why
some
is it a good match?
what are some don'ts?
Well, this is going to be harsh, Lisa Marie, but if you aren't interested enough to do some of the homework to find out why a school is different and why it's a good match for you, I have to kind of wonder why you're even applying. Because I know, having been on the other end of this as an administrator in a school and as a reader of applications, um, if you can't demonstrate that you know why this school is a good match for you, not just a school is good for you, why this school is good for you, you don't stand out.
Mhm.
And the people who are going to get picked, whether it's a small school or big school, are going to be the ones who stand out. There are always thousands of more applicants than there are spots. If you want one of those spots, then have some skin in the game.
I like that. I like that. Put
Spend
effort
a
in.
little less time on YouTube. And well,
No, wait a minute. Wait
you
a
have to do
minute.
your math homework. You can't get away from your math homework.
Wait, you said less time on YouTube. This is a good time to plug Campus Bound GPS and
Well,
subscribe.
not this program. Lisa Marie, I didn't mean this program because this is an educational program. I'm
Oh,
talking about the cute little puppies that fit into a teacup, that kind of thing.
I agree. I agree. Great information, lots of good tips to say yes and say yes because um, a person is taking their time out so that they can provide time for you to discuss why you want to come into the establishment that they graduated from.
It
Um,
cannot hurt you
right. So
to say yes.
say yes.
It can hurt
Also,
you to say no.
yes. Yes. The word is yes. And some other things that we talked about is, looking up the information on the programs that are on their admissions page or follow them on social media so that you can um, have touches,
Mhm.
right? Touches are important because it could help. And express your interest. Basically, you said express your interest by being there.
Show up.
Show up. Show up. And that this is beneficial because it starts a trusting relationship.
Mhm.
All good nuggets that I captured, all good nuggets that are helpful for students. Question: with an alumni interview, and these are for parents, should a parent be around?
Before COVID, I would arrange to meet people at a coffee shop.
Mhm.
Never at my home. No, I mean, if somebody says, come to my home, nope. In fact, let the admissions office know that somebody asked you to go to their home. That's never cool. But I'd ask to meet in a coffee shop. And if a parent was going to, like, I'm going to drop off I'm going to drop off my child and come in and hang around. Like, you go, fine, but get that table as far away from us as you can because this isn't about you. It's about the student who's interested in going to my school. I,
Okay.
I, I'm not interested in talking to parents as an alum. Maybe at the end, if they come up and ask something that they have a question of as a parent, that's different than trying to ask the questions on behalf of their student.
So we
My
have
student was wondering,
we have a comment that says, "I like that there are many ways to show your interest, near or far." And I
Mhm.
believe that that is accurate. Show up,
Show up.
show up and express your interest.
And even if you're really far away from the school and you are pretty sure there are no alums in the area, there are some of us that will keep asking, is there anybody else on your list? Because now they can be by Zoom or phone. It's not expected to be in person. So I can talk to someone in Alaska.
Amazing.
If someone from Alaska wants to talk with me about going to the school that I went to, heck yeah, I'll make time.
So great advice, great information. Thank you.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate being invited and being part of your program. You are doing important work.
I appreciate that. So any last minute or last bit of advice to leave our parents and our students with?
Well, this is going to be kind of self serving, but don't wait till your senior year to go to the Career Center. Sorry, had to do it. In fact, if you are visiting campuses, I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to go on to campus with the intent of visiting the Career Center. I spent a lot of time there over the years, and it's not often shown on campus tours,
Okay.
and it should be. Um, More general advice, go all in. For the schools that you're really interested in, go all in. But let them know that you're all in. Being excited, keeping your fingers crossed, and wishing on a star isn't going to convey to anybody the amount of interest you have. Let them know.
Wonderful. And how can people reach you if they're interested in you and your services?
Well, I do career coaching. I work some with high school students, some with college students, and also recent graduates. And they can reach me at lighthousecareercoach@gmail
And you have a
or
website?
lighthousecareercoaching.com.
Awesome.
Lighthouses, I've got them all over my office.
That's that up north thing.
I grew up near the coast of Maine. So, yeah, I got to have this thing for the smell of dead seaweed and the crashing waves.
Beautiful. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I totally appreciate you. This has been a great wealth of information. And I want to thank our audience. Thank you all for watching tonight. We've just wrapped up day 26. Yay. Yay. We are nearing, we're a few days away from 31, the end of October, and not necessarily the end of our tips. So we are on YouTube. So they're always, these shows are always available for you. Please subscribe, 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 subscribe.
And tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Yes, definitely tell your friends. Don't struggle. Take a look and see what topics are out there and see how these topics can help you. And if you need help, contact us, my experts, myself. We're all here to service you. So I want to say thank you. I want to say have a good evening. And I definitely want to say please, please, please be safe. Bye-bye.
Good night.